Hello everyone, my name is Alice O'Rourke. I'm the Assistant Curator at ArtCore, and we've been working really closely with the University of Derby students on their presentation of their Master's degree show, which they've been working very hard on over the last year. So with me today, I'm just having a chat with Hazel. She's one of the photography students, and we're just going to be talking about her work and her ideas behind the work that she submitted for the show. And yeah, so I'll start with just by saying hello, Hazel. And if you could just introduce yourself and your practice for people to hear more.
Hello, I'm Hazel Hutchison. I'm an artist based in the Midlands, specialising in environmental and alternative photography techniques, collage and installation. I have a focus on economical photographic techniques such as CAFNL and plant-based development, materiality and display methods. So my practice considers themes of landscape, domesticity and identity. Recently, I've been researching a personal review of body and mental fragility that resulted from a surgical counter in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
I've been looking at natural adaptations and drawing lessons from resilience in nature. Both of my artistic processes are related to the impact surgery had on me. I use economical photographic methods, which is developing photographic negatives with coffee, washing soda and vitamin C. And it's considered a lower risk to health, which I then display onto glass to convey fragility.
Amazing, thank you, Hazel. That's all really interesting how you consider the environment in your work, and obviously it's very personal to you and your experiences as well. Do you find that making work that's very personal to you a form of healing, or is that like a process that informs the work as a personal journey for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Like the artwork has taken me on like a journey creatively as well, and I've learned a lot of new skills which have given me confidence over the past 2 years, and it's helped with my mental health as well. It's provided me with focus and structure and self-awareness and connection to others. So I began university as a graphic designer and a digital photographer, and soon after I started, I discovered I had this new love of film photography, which is very opposite way of working to being on the screen. It was very experimental and physical. But like shortly into the winter break of my MA, right at the beginning, I had this traumatic surgical experience abroad on holiday. And then when I got back home, I was actually forced to work differently, and I couldn't go out and take the photographs I wanted. I was confined, which I guess is a very similar situation to a lot of people are experiencing now. So it kind of forced me into a different way of working, that like than I necessarily wanted to. So this health scare that I had, it left me with health anxiety, and I was afraid to use standard photographic chemicals like I once had. So I wanted to find an alternative way to do photography, really. And it all started from, I was in the dark room at university, and a technician said to me that you could develop film with using your breakfast. And it was literally that sentence that made me think, okay, do you know what, I'm going to research into what he actually meant, because we laughed about it for a bit, but then I thought, you know what, I'm actually going to research what he meant there. And there's this whole world of like environmental photographers and people who use recipes, like all different things to develop film instead of standard photographic chemicals.
That's so fascinating. So what was your first kind of research into that then? What were you playing with the materials? And
well, I first researched, I got a book called it was the Experimental Photography Handbook of Techniques, and it was actually a book just full of weird and wonderful recipes to try myself. Well, I also looked at the London Alternative Photography Collective and the Land Art Collective, who run workshops into alternative photographic techniques. So I did a few workshops online. I went to some workshops in person, This was over the last 2 years.
When we could.
And there's a thing called the Cafanel cookbook, which I found online, which is what the technique is called Cafanel. And so I literally looked at the recipes on there, and it over the last 2 years, it was a lot of experimenting, because when I first did it, it wasn't how I get it now, but there's lots of different things you can make, like red wine developer, beer, seaweed, anything, like plants as well. So I'm currently experimenting with using more plants.
Brilliant.
And it just produces a different tone to the photographs. It's a nice way to work, because when you're working at home as well, you've got to be aware of what you're putting down the sink and how am I going to do this safely. I've tried mixing with salt as well.
Amazing. It's a really sustainable way of working, isn't it? Yeah.
It is sustainable as well. And then I also thought to myself, it'd be slightly contradictory to do a project about my love of nature and then use materials that would harm it. So I think it's really important to see like what you're saying and in your process used as well in photography and in art as well.
Absolutely. I think it really comes across that those ethics are really strong in your work. I think it's really cool how you're like talking about these materials as recipes, and understanding photography as a recipe, and how you're using those food forms or food substances. It's brilliant. So could you tell us now the ideas behind your work that you submitted specifically for the Masters show?
Touched
on it a little bit, but is there anything specific there?
It's a follow-on really, because I did another piece of work that was directly from the surgical experience, and this new product was like another step in a recovery for me, and it was about a personal examination of body and mental fragility which stemmed from the surgical experience. But this time it was also representing a motivation to be out more in nature during lockdown. So I can just share my screen quickly.
Oh yeah.
So my artwork is called Root. And it obviously has this, I've titled it Root because it obviously has this related terminology to the word in nature, but it's also representing a path and a journey. And that's kind of what I was thinking when I was starting this. And I was trying to assess how I was sort of feeling now after 2 years of this surgical experience happening. And this was just to signify wanting to be out more in lockdown and reflect upon the connection between myself and my body and the adaptations found there. Conceptually, I decided to explore how external factors affect appearance and draw comparisons with my own body post-surgery, observing the idea that humans and nature both go through challenges. So it's resulted in a sequence of photographic diptychs and an 18-panel photographic glass sculpture. I wanted to show domesticity, which was my landscape during lockdown, and compare this with an indoor self-portraiture that was influenced by the shape of a natural adaptation outside. So I've been drawing on lessons from resilience in nature as a way of representing my own emotions and desire to adapt after life's challenges. So it's this kind of natural occurring resilience that I was inspired by in nature, and it's kind of what I'm hoping to take from the experience myself moving forward. So I'd go out and find local walks out as well that had a big impact on me. During like the surgical experience, they helped me in my recovery. So I'd go out, take some photographs of the like shapes in the rock formations and things that I was just in awe of, basically. And then it's this resilience nature has that I was really inspired by. So I'd go back indoors and reenact a shape that I saw out in nature, and sort of show this connection between the both of us, really.
So were these in your local area, all of these nature shots?
They were all from the Peak District. This was a place called Stanton Moor. this is when the lockdown was a bit more eased as well. Yeah, it was nice going out, and I think a lot of people have this. A lot of people have the same sort of desire to connect with nature during lockdown. I think it's been a massive
absolutely
help for a lot of people now. So yeah, I think as well as being a personal project, it's something a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah, I think as well there's yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but you know, I've been walking around this area for years where I live, but actually, yeah, lockdown has really given us a chance to reflect and to really observe. And actually, yeah, there's so many things that before I'd just be like walking to work in a rush and not really considering my surroundings. So it's really nice that yeah, you had time to reflect, and that's informed your work. I guess, yeah, that leads us on to thinking about how you've been working as a student during a really challenging time. How have you found that experience being a student? And obviously you had your 2 years that have really changed from the first to the second. So yeah, tell us how you found working. And it sounds like, you know, it was really great for your practice. But yeah, if you can tell us about how you found that.
Yeah, it was very challenging, but it's rewarding as well for me personally, because it's just like my work as an artist has evolved all from an experience of confinement previously, which has then helped me during this lockdown, and it's given me sort of these resilient tactics and things to do to try and take my mind off any situation. So I've learned like lessons in patience, and it's inspired me to like take up new skills I never would have considered normally. So I learned how to glass cut.
Wow.
I learned how to screen print. I've learned how to do image transfers, develop negatives with cough. Like I didn't even really have a massive understanding of film photography before I started university. So to then go into this process, it's taught me lots about the whole medium than I never would have thought before. I was so used to working on a digital camera as well. To work like this, it's taught me a lot more. Like you don't have all the fancy buttons that you got on the digital camera. And using like a traditional self timer and running into the photographs. Yeah, it's been a really good lesson for me. And like I said, both these experiences, so having emergency surgery and having a pandemic during a degree, it's obviously been things that I did like were very challenging, but I've learned a lot in terms of my art practice from them. So yeah.
Oh, that's really inspiring to hear, Hazel. Amazing that you learned all those new skills. Was that through university support as well, or did you just do all of that off your own accord?
So the staff were really encouraging, really supportive, and each step of the way they'd sort of get you to stop and think like, why are you doing what you're doing? Like, how's it coming across? So
yeah,
I think having that like I did go and do these things, you know, by myself, but also as well, it's having that structure and somebody to sort of say, wait, stop for a minute and think about what you're doing. So I think both have been valuable for me during the lockdown. Obviously, I would have liked to go in and use the facilities, but I think that if I had, I might not have pushed myself to the level that I did here.
Yeah, it sounds like oh, sorry.
Yeah. And I contacted a glass artist for advice as well, like over email, and I sent my glass off to be fired in a kiln through post. So things like that, I don't think I necessarily would have done like otherwise.
No. Yeah, it's funny how being resourceful has really I guess supported all of this and made it how it is now. I guess a final kind of thought that I wanted to ask you is what would be your best advice for anyone thinking, you know, of studying a master's in photography, and especially within, you know, the University of Derby? What would you say?
I'd say be willing to explore, be prepared to do the research, ask yourself what you're doing, how does it come across, experiment, have fun and enjoy the process. Like I said, like my thought process has shifted considerably through, and it's happened to be through something that I had no control over. So it's about not being too fixed and be open to new opportunities and new ways of thinking.
Thank you so much, Hazel. It's been really, really great to hear more about that work. Obviously, yeah, we're working together at the moment to plan that online virtual exhibition. Hazel's been working specifically on the kind of graphic design element, and obviously you designed the catalogue. Did you decide whether to print that catalogue, Hazel, or is it purely an online digital version?
We have actually printed some of them as well, as we all kind of wanted a keepsake of the experience, obviously. So I had some printed, and I do plan to send out the poster as well and try and make it downloadable for some of the students as well, so that'll be good. It's been a lot of fun to do, actually. It's been a really fun project to try and promote this show as well, and then also have work here, and it should be really exciting.
What were your ideas behind the kind of graphic, like visual aesthetic of the show? Do you want to share that?
So we've been meeting every week for a whole year, like this. So there's 7 of us, and there's now going to be 9 of us. We're meeting every week for ideas, and I think everybody wanted this whole inclusion element, like so we're apart, but we actually have been together, like virtually, and we've been supporting each other. So it was about showing all of our, like an element of all our artwork, and have it combined into one image and have it into like a collage. And we kind of spoke about the name as well for a while, Here and Now, and it was the fact that we actually are here, and we are doing our work now despite all these challenges. So it's trying to sort of get across that we actually are doing our artwork, and we didn't want to just leave university without doing anything, or no mention of our work. So for me it was about including this togetherness element for everyone in the design concept for it all.
We'll be sharing that online as well when we launch the online exhibition. Just so everyone knows, we're launching it on Artcore Gallery's website on the 31st of March. We'll be sharing details about the specific launch and what we're going to be sharing there. But keep your eyes and ears open for more about that. We're really excited to share what you've done. For it to feel like it's come together, and it's your presentation of your MA, isn't it? So it's going to be great, I'm sure. But thank you so much for your time today, Hazel. And stay tuned for more, I guess. Thank you.